Looks like we're live. If you are watching this post tense, sorry, I apologize. Trying to get this thing all set up and working. You know what I mean? They changed all the YouTube stuff since the last time I was on it. So right now I'm currently trying to see and make sure that we are live and up and going. And I got my computer pulled up, and it looks like we are indeed live and going. So what's up? Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. Give me 1 second. Let me get everything dialed in. Once again, if you were watching this post tense, thank you for being here. If you were tuning in live, what's up? How's it going? Give me just a second. Make sure we got our T's crossed and our I's dotted. Trying to see where I can see. All right, so I think we got it. I think we got it dialed in. All right. Let me gather everything. Let me get everything sorted. So, had a last minute curveball. That's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me all right. Want to make sure you guys can see me all right. And, yeah, should be good to go. So we're going to start this thing on up, just like we were doing an OTP Tuesday, and we were prepared for it. You know what I mean? What is going on, everybody? Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Pipe podcast. Today is Tuesday, January the 23rd, 2024, years after zero, and I'm your host, as always, Tyler Shepherdson, and it's Tuesday, which means you are joining me just in time for the latest and probably not so greatest episode of OTP Tuesday. Glad you could be here. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for tuning in. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on in the off-road world, and if you're here from our Instagram post, then you saw where I posted on there that because there's so much to talk about, can you guys see me all right? I just got a note from YouTube saying you couldn't see me all right, but it looks like you can see me all right. Anywho, so if you are here from the Instagram post, then you did see where I said there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that's going on in the off-road world. So rather than sit here and spew information at you, I wanted to get you involved, get the fans involved, let you ask the questions. If there's something on your mind, ask it in the chat. I'll be able to answer it and let you know here live and real time. That way we can go through all the stuff that's kind of happening throughout the sport and then also look forward to the future because racing season is upon us. There's a lot going on and there's a lot that's about to start going on, and we're just a few moments away from being fully involved in it. I guess you could already say that we are now because there's racing going on all over the country this past weekend. U.S. Sprint Enduro, they started up their 2024 season down in somewhere I can't pronounce in Georgia. There's also the Full Gas, the new Full Gas, the third rendition and changing hands of Full Gas, kicked off down in South Carolina. We also got the King of the Motos, the very first hard enduro event of the schedule. They kicked off this past weekend as well. And we also had Hare and Hound getting their season underway too. So we are right in the thick of it. Racing is here. Racing is alive and well. And I appreciate you guys being so interested in it that you tune in to On the Pipe podcast to get all of your racing information. Now, I know I've gotten to the point where nobody cares about me. I understand that. This is On the Pipe podcast. We're here to talk about racing. Just want to fill you guys in on a couple things that are going on in the OTP world, and then we're going to jump straight into this racing stuff that we talked about. First of all, thank you to everyone that ordered the brand new t-shirts. We got a couple new t-shirt designs. We got the OG t-shirt designs, and we got hoodies that are going on. So thank you to everyone that ordered those. Actually got quite a bit more orders than I anticipated. So working on getting all of those set out. I know I mentioned a few weeks ago my brother was having some health issues, ended up having another brain surgery, and then we ended up back in the hospital at one point last week. So thank you to everyone that reached out. Thank you to everyone for the T's and P's. That is sincerely appreciated. Really do appreciate you guys reaching out and keeping him and myself in your T's and P's, your thoughts and prayers for those that are new to the program. But yeah, so it's been a hectic week kind of dealing with that. And then 2 weeks, actually. a little bit over 2 weeks, but just dealing with him, recovering from the surgery. Last week, I actually did the show from the living room. That's a couple people noted about how quiet it was, because I was trying not to disturb him as he was getting some sleep. But back in the studio this week, we got stuff going on. Long story long, just want to say all of those orders are going out this week. So if you bought stuff from the store, especially the OTP shirts, the OG shirts, and then the hoodies, those are all going to be going out this week. That was kind of the hold up and getting everything going, but we got it dialed in. We got it going. Thank you, everyone, for supporting the show. The hoodies, these brand new hoodies, they are going to be a black hoodie, but it's still going to be that same lightweight, super comfy hoodie that will be your favorite hoodie in your collection. I can almost guarantee you of that. But the OG ones, they were dark gray. They don't make those anymore. So we had to do some scrambling, and we got the same exact hoodie, just in black. So pretty on brand for OTP. But we got them in there, so thank you guys for those orders. Sorry they have not shipped out. The skeleton shirts, they all did go out. The new helmet shirts, they all did go out. Basically just waiting on the OG OTP stuff, and then the hoodies to get here. So I want to start off, thank you so much for those, and just fill in those people. I reached out to most people individually, but then orders kept piling in, stuff kept piling up. Anyway, neither here nor there. There it is. The other things that we got going on, we're getting things dialed in. This season, this year, OTPs, you know it, is going to look a little bit different this year, and it's going to start with a little bit of a rebranding. Now, I'm not going to keep you guys in the dark. I'm not going to say I'm up to something. Not gonna leave you out there in that. Just going to say there's going to be some changes coming up, and I think they're going to be really good changes, and we're going to roll those out here in the coming weeks. Until then, getting ready for the season has been phone calls all day, every day, trying to run the screen print business, all that stuff. But once again, you guys don't care about that. You care about racing. So just letting you know that hopefully these changes will be welcomed, and we'll see a bunch of cool stuff coming. And then we will get back to the interviews. We'll get everything dialed in, set aside, so that way we have the program coming to you at an adequate time. We got several guests that are coming on board to chat. So until we can get to that point, until we figure out the direction that we're going, that's why I thought it'd be a good idea that this would be a good episode to grab you guys and get you in the chat and asking questions. And I already see so there's some questions coming in, so we're going to get through that, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff. And thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me, and looking forward to the things on the horizon as OTP continues to come out you for this 2024 season. I want to give a big shout out to our buddy, good friend of the show, Zach Tussle. This episode, as always, is brought to you in part by Zach Tussle at Raymond James Financial. Zach is a racer and a financial advisor that helps his clients win when it comes to retirement and financial planning. If you or someone you know wants to save and invest for their future, or is already retired and needs advice for income during retirement, Zach Tussle is always my first recommendation. We are going into the third season with Zach Tussle, supporting the show here and supporting all you guys. Talk to him quite a bit, and there are several people that have started financial accounts with Zach Tussle, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see, especially to see somebody as well-versed as Zach Tussle to be able to help you out, manage your money. Once again, you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to have a ton of extra money. You just want to save. You got to want to save and invest for your future, and Zach Tussle can certainly help you do that. Go to financialadvisorsdenvernc.com. Let him know you listen to OTP, and you can get free consultation. Let him know exactly what your goals are. He'll let you know exactly how he can help you reach those goals. Now, let's get straight into it. Let's start things off. I don't know. You guys want to start East Coast? You want to start West Coast? There's stuff going on all over the place. We'll start with the AMA Hare and Hound series. That's what I got pulled up here and right in front of me. So we're going to talk about that. The AMA Hare and Hound series that kicked off over this past weekend. It was the first event of the weekend, of the Hare and Hound series. So we'll run through those results real quick, and we really need to get boots on the ground, get a better understanding for this West Coast racing. All I can do is read you the results in the meantime, but hopefully we'll remedy that in the future as well. Taking the overall win was three-time champion Dalton Shirey, looking to make it 4 championships out there in the Hare and Hound series. He starts off with a win to get things going for his 2024 campaign. Zane Roberts on a Beta Factory Racing Beta machine ends up in second place, and then Austin Walton would round out the third place spot overall on a Husqvarna. As we take a look to our women's class there, Rachel Stout would take the win, and then Ty Woolslayer would be your number 2 girl pro class rider, and then Brittany Gallegos would claim 3rd place at the Hare and Hound for the women's pro class. So that is the way that the Hare and Hound shaped up. There's a lot of good write-ups and a lot of good race recaps that you can find out there on the interwebs. Cycle News, I know they provide them, or Enduro 21, they provide them as well. So it's cool to be able to read through those and get a feel for it. I would paraphrase that, but I don't want to steal their thunder. So go check them out. They're writing race reviews, race recaps, and stuff as it relates. National Hare and Hound, Eric Kudla in the chat. Austin Walton's first Hare and Hound. Did not realize that. Austin Walton, we've seen him have success on that ISDE team, and now apparently some success in the Hare and Hound series as he races his very first one and ends up on the podium. I would say that's a pretty good first go. We also got a Beta on the podium as well. So Beta has always been the official manufacturer of On the Pipe podcast. Check them out, betausa.com. You can find their available models, find a dealer near you to get your very own Beta motorcycle today. I've been enjoying, hopefully we can get some warmer weather and get some even more enjoyable seat time on my old Beta 390 machine. So check them out, betausa.com, the official manufacturer of OTP. We're going to take a break right here. Let's get a couple of questions going in because we got people on here listening. Moto Fro, what's going on, man? Sure you might have mentioned it, but my over 50 brain is foggy. Who are the XC1 riders stepping down to XC2 and what teams? So that's going to be the first question we're going to talk about in here. And once again, the whole point of this is for you guys to ask those questions and see what we got going on. But as far as the XC2, I think the ones that have been announced, it's Thad Duvall would be the big one. Thad Duvall, we saw him post that he is going to be joining that Red Bear Kawasaki team that is headed up by Stuart Baylor Jr., and he posted that with the green number plates. There's been some speculation of Thad in the past about what he was going to do, and through the grapevine and things that we heard, it seemed like it was going to point towards that XC2 class. Now, in the official posts that I saw, I don't think it directly said that, but following along with them on social media, you can see that Thad Duvall is riding Kawasaki KX250s for one, and also in his official post, he's got green number plates. So, based on the things we're hearing through the offseason, based on the green number plates, based on him riding a 250, I think it's fair to deduce from those few things that I think Thad Duvall is going to be competing in that XC2 class. And I'm not going to say I love that. I'm not going to say that that's a shoo-in. I know that some people talk about it and some people think about it that that's a shoo-in. Can he go undefeated? Can he be the first undefeated XC2 champion? Can he go in there and be the first XC2 rider to win an overall? All of that stuff is certainly possible, but it's not going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be. And Thad is a longtime veteran of this sport, but I think just like we've talked about all the times on here about XC2, I don't think that XC2 class is as simple as cut and dry as that. I think they are young, they are hungry, and I think they go at it with intensity from the start. And I think that it's going to be tough. I mean, you got Liam Draper that's going to be defending the title. You got Gus Reardon, who was 9th place overall, 2nd place on the title, and coming off of a U.S. Sprint Enduro win in the Pro 2 class that we're going to talk about here in a minute. You got Cody Barnes coming on. You got Rui Barbosa coming back from injury. All sorts of contenders in that XC2 class. I don't think it's going to be easy. And I'm not saying that just for that. I'm saying that for anybody. I think anybody competing in that XC2 class this year, it's not going to be easy. No matter who you are, no matter what you're riding, that XC2 class is going to be stacked, and that XC2 class is going to be super competitive. Outside of that, there was a little bit of a point of contention when you saw the new GNCC rules come out, and the rule changes are usually in red. One of those changes that were in red was that if you had won another series overall championship, and it listed a few different series, but one of the series included in that was U.S. Sprint Enduro. So if you had won a U.S. Sprint Enduro championship, it then disallowed you from competing in the XC2 class. And I say that was a point of contention because another off-season rumbling and bumblings that we heard, and realistically another person that I think might have had their name in the hat for joining that Red Bear Kawasaki racing team with Stu Baylor, is a former XC2 champion, Josh Toth. And I think Josh posted a picture the other day of him riding a Honda 250. So once again, I think we can only deduce from that we might see him competing in that XC2 class. He released his schedule and said that he was going to be going to some of those GNCCs throughout the year. So I think that it would be, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be racing the XC2 class or racing the XC1 class. We've seen him after that XC1 or XC2 championship move up to that XC2 class. Sorry, Craig. You threw off my whole flow. Trying to make sure that I'm saying stuff as accurately as possible, especially when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, seeing the posts and seeing the bikes, I think it'd be fair. I don't know. That getting back to the GNCC rule, that rule has since changed since then. So that is no longer an amended rule for the series this year, which means former U.S. Sprint Enduro champions could be able to race the XC2 class at the GNCCs, provided they had not won a championship in the past, I think, 3 or 4 years or whatever it is, and that kind of thing. So just double checking here, and yes, it does look like Josh Toth posted a Honda 250, but it does have red plates. So that is one to keep an eye on. So MotoFro, back to your question, who is going to be going from XC1 back to XC2? I don't know. Don't know for sure. We can say that we saw Thad with green number plates. We can say that we saw, I don't know. Like I said, those things have all been up in the air. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that and who else can go in it. Also, another guy, Lane Michael. I haven't heard what his program is going to consist of this year. Did see that it looked like he raced the U.S. Sprint Enduro this past weekend on a KTM. And realistically, I don't know anything other than that. But I know at one point that name was also one that was floating around to maybe go back and contend in that XC2 class. So at the end of the day, to answer your question as accurately as possible, I have no idea who is going to be going from the XC1 class back down to the XC2 class. But just looking at things available to on social media to everyone, that is the best insight that I could give you on that. We got Lane Wynn commenting on here. Josh Strang on a Sherco. Is it a factory effort or just his own operation? So, based on what I gather from Josh Strang's post and what is available out there to the public, it looks like it will be a factory Sherco backed ride. Now, I don't think it's going to be a full-blown factory effort. There's not a Sherco semi that's going to be showing up to the GNCCs, but based on the press release from Sherco as well as Josh Strang's announcement this morning, it will be a factory-backed effort. So I believe he is getting support and getting that backing from Sherco, but will be doing it more in like a privateer sense this year, kind of managing his own program, managing his own team, but on that Sherco 450. Which will be exciting to see. We saw Sherco obviously have a run at the GNCCs just a few years ago. I don't think it ended how anybody anticipated it to end, so hopefully it's a warm welcome back to Sherco in the XC1 class with Josh Strang piloting a factory Sherco 450. Look good on it. Look good on it. I was able to go take those pictures, so the pictures that came out with the Sherco press release, I did take. So got to see him on it a little bit there. And, yeah, look good on it, feels comfortable on it, likes the bike a lot, said that in the post as well, and coming straight off of an overall win at the last round up in Indiana to close out his season. So will we see Sherco get their first overall win? We saw it very, 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 very close to getting his first overall win right before the entire world locked up before COVID. We all know that last turn pass between Caleb Russell and Stu Baylor to close out the final race before the world shut down. Was that the Bulldog or was the No, the Bulldog was the first one back because the logo had the mask on it. So, yeah, it was the last race before COVID shutdowns in 2020. All right, let's look at a couple more in here before we move on to some more results. Austin Hurst, is Evan Smith doing his own thing or is he on a team? And when will the AMA make JoJo move up? Also, any details with the Ben Kelly injury. So Austin Hurst getting 3 questions in here, fired them in back to back to back. So let's get to those real quick. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about what's going on. First one, is Evan Smith doing his own thing, or is he on a team? From my understanding, and I have been talking with Evan, um, he's going to be doing his own thing. I don't think that he is on a team, and I know that it's back and forth about a couple bikes, so I don't want to say what bike he's on because, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what bike he's on, so I don't want to get it wrong, especially if he's got some brands and stuff going on. But he will be doing his own thing. He will be racing this year, and he will be promoting tear-off gaskets. And Evan Smith is one of the people that we actually have coming on the show here sometime in the future, mainly to talk about tear-off gaskets. So I'll leave it at that. But, yeah, I'm stoked to see Evan running. I believe, I would assume, that he would be running in the XC1 class. I know last year on that beta team, that was one of the big things that he wanted to do, is he wanted to be in that XC1 class on a 4-stroke. So I could only imagine that if he's piloting his own effort, that he will be on a 4-stroke and in that XC1 class. So we'll wait and see how that happens and how that develops. Evan Smith, full gas overall champion a couple years ago, and he is also a guy that when full gas was full gas and everyone was at full gas, we've seen him win there. So we know that Evan's got the speed. So hopefully he can get comfy on a bike and put in the results that he knows he's capable of. When will the AMA make JoJo move up? Well, that is a loaded question because the AMA cannot make JoJo move up. And one of the biggest reasons the AMA cannot make JoJo move up is because an A class is an A class. You can't be promoted out of an A class. And even more specifically, as it relates to off-road racing, AMA does not recognize an off-road pro rider, which means that technically all of XC1, all of XC2, they're A riders. So you can't promote anybody higher than an A class. So JoJo, I believe he's won 250A twice now. Top amateur one of those times. Last year, he missed a good part of the season with a rebroken femur. So, yeah, and Kudla, former AMA off-road racing manager, he chimes in here. The series has to bump them. So if that is something within the series, I'm sure they have the power to promote them out of that class. And they do that with the stipulations, kind of the same thing like we were talking about with XC2 a little bit ago. So if you win an XC2 title, you got 1 year to defend, and then you got to move up to XC1. If you finish the season in the top 10 in points or the top 20 in overall points, I don't have the rule book in front of me, but whatever that stipulation is, then you have to race XC1, XC2, or XC3. So I think because of him missing the first part of the season last year with a broken femur, he probably did not reach those requirements to be forced into the pro class. So the series does have rules in place to implement to get them into the pro class, but if you don't reach the requirements, whether it's from an injury or riding or whatever it may be, then you don't reach the requirements. So he will be racing 250A again this year. But JoJo is one of those guys that, I mean, the last 2 years in a row, he's broken his femur, because the last 2 years in a row, I've broken my tib fib. And it's ironic when we were talking about the store stuff and the orders, because when the original orders of hoodies went out, that was literally the week that I ran into a deer on a street bike and snapped my leg in half, and so it kind of delayed the hoodie orders back then. So yeah, just weird how history repeats itself. But basically, him and I were bone break buddies, because he broke his and I broke mine like a week later, and then last January he broke his femur again and I broke my leg again, like in the same 2-week period as well. So because of that, he's going to be racing 258. I'm not saying because of the injury, but I'm just saying because of the stipulations, he's not going to be forced into that XC2 class. And also shout out to Eric Kudla once again. JoJo finished 71st overall. So GNCC does not stipulate that the top 71 overall riders have to race XC2. Therefore, that is why he's not racing XC2. Same thing, like without those stipulations in place by the series, like as far as the AMA is concerned, Craig DeLong could go race 25 plus or go race 250A per AMA policies. Obviously, like we mentioned, National Enduro has rules to advance people. GNCC has rules to advance people. So obviously, if you meet the series rules to be advanced, then you have to advance. But just kind of helping you understand that whole thing between the AMA and the A classes and things that go on with that. So I hope I explained that in a way that made sense. Either way, that 250A battle, that top amateur battle overall, will be an awesome battle to watch this year. Mike DeLosa, Nick DeFeo, JoJo, and I always get in the habit I shouldn't name people off because then I'm gonna forget people, so I'm gonna stop at those three. But there's several more that are gonna be in that mix. Bubs Tasha is a guy that we saw move back from the XC2 class back down to the 250A class this year, so he will be a contender there as well. But yeah, there's gonna be some exciting battles to watch week in and week out back in the A classes. Any details with the Ben Kelly injury? No. Just to be blunt about it, no. Obviously, we know about Ben's leg break. We know about the shoulder issues from that same incident that he's posted and spoke on publicly about. This time, the way that all the reports came out, and we kind of mentioned this last week, but the way that the reports came out, it really didn't give any details until GNCC posted something about the labrum in his hip, or the hip labrum surgery. So the only information that I have about details of that is what GNCC posted in their post that went live that did mention labrum in that hip. So I think he's going to get that surgically repaired, and that's going to keep him off the bike for a little bit. But T's and P's once again out to Ben Kelly to hope that he makes a full and speedy recovery, because Ben Kelly and everyone is good for the sport. We want to see that competition. We want to see those guys battling up front. And Ben Kelly, obviously, with the couple seasons he's had, is one of those guys, and exciting to see. So, wishing him all the best. Hope that we get to see him back soon. 100% healed up. In the meantime, in case you missed it, Dante Oliveira, ISDE stud, West Coast stud, multiple series champion. He will be coming in and filling in for Ben Kelly in that factory KTM team, and that is going to be a treat to see. If you can make it to any of the first 5 GNCC rounds, trust me, you want to be there. You want to see Dante Oliveira. You want to see the rest of the XC1 pros compete. Craig DeLong is defending a championship. Stu Baylor is chasing that championship. Josh Strang back for his 18th season aboard a Sherco, chasing that same thing as well as the rest of the XC1 class. Former champion Jordan Ashburn, he'll be on a little bit of a change-up. He'll be on that Coastal Gas. Ryder Lafferty moving up to that XC1 class full-time. Mike Wachowski is going to be in that XC1 class full-time. XC2 champ from a year ago, 2 years ago, however you want to look at it, Lyndon Snodgrass up in that XC1 class full time as well, and hopefully with a full bill of health. We saw him miss a lot of last season as well, and then came back, hurt his ankle, then you know the story. But hopefully we'll see Lyndon healed up, rested up in that XC1 class, and see what he is able to do there. We saw how quickly Craig DeLong made that progression from being on the bubble in XC2 to then winning XC2 and then moving up to the XC1 class, and 2 years in, winning the XC1 championship. So, will we see those same kind of increases that quickly with guys like Ryder Lafferty, like Lyndon Snodgrass? We're on the precipice of finding out, and I'm super excited. This is going to be such a fun racing season. Also down in the WXC class, Brandy Richards is going to be coming over here and racing. Jordan Jarvis, big-time motocross girl. She's going to be switching full-time to the woods for that Yamaha team. Rachel Archer, back-to-back defending GNCC champion. She'll be here as well. Then you got the up-and-comers, Preston Range, Jocelyn Barnes. Not an up-and-comer, but Rachel Goodish. She'll be there competing as well. Corey Steed with a full factory ride and effort. She had a bit of an injury bug last year as well. So that women's class is going to be so exciting to watch as well. And it's cool that they are the premier class of the morning. That way they can get that full attention and see those races pan out. I'm super jazzed up. I'm excited about that women's pro class. I was actually mentioning that to Strang yesterday when we were shooting photos about the new girls coming, the same girls coming back. It's going to be exciting to watch, an exciting championship to come down to. But once again, if you're just getting in here, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat box and we will talk about them. If you have any questions or want to know some clarity on stuff or what we got going on, ask a question and we will be in there to chat. We're going to move on now. The 2024 King of the Motos, that happened this past weekend in Johnson Valley, California. 2-lap qualifier on Saturday for a 3-lap main event on Sunday. Matt Musgrove, he wrote up a very good race report of that. Matt Musgrove helped run that U.S. Hard Enduro Series. From my understanding, I know he did. I believe he still does. I'm sure Kudla will let me know within moments whether or not that is still accurate or not. But either way, he wrote the write-up about this, so you can check that out. Like I said, it's on Cycle News as well. But it sounded like a very eventful race. And it sounds like a very unique race to kick off that Hard Enduro Series that they do every year, the King of the Motos. And speaking of every year, we went into this year's King of the Motos with Tristan Hart running back-to-back wins. Back-to-back wins, 2-year win streak coming in, obviously off a very successful season last year that Tristan Hart is running off of. But Cody Webb on the Sherco machine was able to get it done and click off a win and not only stop Tristan Hart's 2-year win streak, but that is his 6th time that he has won that King of the Motos race. So Cody Webb coming out, starting the year off with a bang, grabbing the win in that King of the Motos. Tristan Hart would end up finishing in the number 2 spot. Ryder LeBlond would round out the overall podium in 3rd. Will Reardon just off the podium in the 4th place spot on his first ride as the first ever factory gas hard enduro rider. So cool to see Will out there right on the edge of that podium spot. And then rounding out the top 5 was another Sherco, and that was Cooper Abbott that was making that whole thing happen out there. That reminds me, one thing I want to kind of chat about on here is the Casselli Cup. If you call it this year's this year's issue, I think it came out, right? I'm pretty sure it is in this month's issue of Dirt Bike Magazine, the Casselli Cup. And the reason I said that is talking about all these guys, talking about Dante Oliveira, talking about Tristan Hart, talking about Stuart Baylor, talking about Craig, talking about all these guys. So Dirt Rider every year does the Casselli Cup where they rank the top 25 riders in America. And this year it was pretty cool because the longtime writer and editor over at Dirt Bike, Ron Lawson, he actually reached out to me, and him and I had a long conversation, just kind of bouncing stuff off of each other, and it was cool to actually see that in the Casselli Cup this year. Ron Lawson, super cool guy. Everyone over at Dirt Bike Magazine has been super cool people to talk to and work with, so it was really cool to see the photos from SMX, the Charlotte event, that I got in the magazine, or photos that I took a few months back for that very first ever SMX round, but then also like the little nugget in the Casselli Cup where they mentioned that Tyler Shepperton of On the Pipe podcast brought some insights to the table. I thought that was pretty cool. But just put it in perspective, we were talking about Dante Oliveira a minute ago. This year, because of the outright success that America had, the US ISDE team had, they actually chose to rank the entire ISDE team number 1. So the number 1 rider was multiple riders. It was the entire U.S. ISDE team. Number 2, so the first individual rider was Dante Oliveira with an ISDE gold medal, AMA National Grand Prix champion, AMA West Hare Scramble champion, and an outstanding performance at the ISDE. So when we talk about Dante Oliveira coming over and filling in for Ben Kelly the first half of this season, that is the type of guy that we're talking about. He is the first ranked rider on the Casselli Cup, the top 25 riders in America. In the number 3 spot was Tristan Hart. We were talking about Tristan Hart having a successful season last year and even winning King of the Motos 2 years in a row. For Cody Webb to grab that win just shows you the level of the riders and the level of competition. Obviously, we got to get the East Coast representatives. Stu Baylor was on there in the 4th place spot. Craig DeLong in 5th place. Grant Baylor in 6th place, Ben Kelly in 7th place, Johnny Gerard in 8th place, 9th place was Josh Toth. So East Coast got 3 through 9. And then it goes back to Dalton Shirey, who we just talked about, winning the first round of the Hare and Hound. So there you go. Going to show you the top 25 list and all that goes into it. But getting back to some racing. the U.S. Sprint Enduro kicking off out here in I don't it starts with an H and it's in Georgia. That's all you really need to know. But they got things going. Johnny Gerard, who I believe is the reigning and defending champion of the U.S. Sprint Enduro Series, he would pick up right where he left off. He grabs the overall win, and he did it by a time of almost a minute. And that is almost a minute over the second place overall rider, who was the Pro 2 winner, Angus Reardon. So Gus Reardon came on strong last year. I think if you didn't know who Gus was going into last year, you definitely know who he is now, especially with the showing that he had out at the U.S. Sprint Enduro and the showing that he had 9th place overall last year, 2nd place in the XC2 class at the GNCCs. I think Angus Reardon is going to be a guy to keep an eye on this year. But as we mentioned, he gets 2nd place overall, 1st place in the Pro 2 class. 3rd place overall would be the reigning and defending GNCC XC2 champion and National Enduro Pro 2 champion, Liam Draper, who is now, once we talked about the rules and bumping people up and promotions, because of his success last year, Liam Draper is actually in the Pro 1 class this year. So he's going to be racing a Yamaha 450 at the U.S. Sprint Enduro. So that was his first race on that Yamaha 450. He ends up 2nd place in Pro 1, 3rd place overall on the day. And then rounding out the Pro 1 class podium, it was Craig DeLong in the number 3 spot in Pro 1, 4th place overall on the day. 5th place overall on the day was Jason Tino, who put on a really good ride in that Pro 2 class to solidify 2nd place in Pro 2. And then 3rd place in Pro 2 was last year's XC3 champ, Toby Cleveland, who is moving up and competing in XC2, I do believe, this year. But he grabs the 3rd place spot, final podium spot in Pro 2 with a 9th place finish overall. And Dominic Morse put on a really good ride as well. He ended up 4th place, top 10 overall. But, yeah, and the man of the hour, the guy we were just talking about, JoJo Cunningham, won the Pro-Am class, followed by Cooper Jones and Gavin Simon. So that is the way that it shook out there at that U.S. Sprint Enduro as they kick off racing and get things going this year. I'm going to scroll down here and check out our women's Pro class. As we mentioned, that's going to be a competitive class across the board, so we want to check in there with our Pro women. Brandy Richards, the woman that we were just talking about, the woman that has seen a tremendous amount of ISDE success, the woman that no one can beat seemingly at an ISDE. She comes out, and Sprint Enduro racing is the closest thing that we have to ISDE racing over here stateside. Brandy Richards would take the win over Corey Steed in the number 2 spot, and then Rachel Guttish would end the day 3rd place overall in that women's pro class. So I think we got all of our series covered. I think we got them all licked, if I'm not mistaken. We got U.S. Sprint Enduro, King of the Motos, and then Hare and Hound. So yeah, that is the racing. That is what happened. That went on. That is what went on over the weekend. So we got a couple more questions in here. If you have any questions, keep them coming. If not, we're nearing the end of the show. You know what I mean? So Paul Alley came on here. Jesse Ansley is doing a race called Ocean to Ocean in Florida. Do you know anything about it? If so, what type of racing is it? So, first of all, no, I don't know anything about it. Second of all, I don't think it's in Florida. I don't think it's in Panama, Florida. I think it's in Panama, Panama. I think. I could be completely wrong about that as well, because I'll be honest. I tried to Google it, and I couldn't find anything about it. So I am extremely interested in this ocean-to-ocean race because Jesse Ansley is going down there and racing it, but so is Thad Duvall. So Thad Duvall will be racing this ocean-to-ocean race as well. I don't know what ocean they're racing to, and I don't know what ocean they're racing away from, or where it's at. I guess it would make sense in Florida if you can find a way to traverse Florida. I saw something about Panama. I didn't know if that was Panama City Beach, Florida, or Panama as in the Panama Canal, Panama, where stem cells are legal, Panama. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know much about the ocean-to-ocean race. And like I said, I even tried to Google it, and all I kept finding was like triathlons and bicycle races, and there was something else that didn't even make sense for an ocean-to-ocean race. There was like boat races. Yeah, I couldn't find it. I don't know who's putting it on. I don't know what promoter it is. I don't know what the governing body is. I really don't know anything about this ocean race. But I was trying to figure out about it, and I just couldn't. So Eric Kudla, Cody Webb faked them out into the pits, didn't stop, and then gapped them and won by 45 seconds. Now, so that is provided by Kudla. Kudla, I think it was your status on Facebook that I saw about that. I saw someone talking about the pit stop because then someone else commented on it and asked about running out of gas, and you explained the difference in fuel consumption from hard enduro to GNCC or cross country enduro or what have you. So I did see that. But yeah, it sounds like Cody Webb faked them out into the pit. So from what I can gather from that, Cody Webb acted like he was going to pit while he was leading, and so then everyone else pitted because they thought Cody was pitting and they had time to pit. Is that what I'm gathering by that? Even still, if Cody didn't pit and everybody else did pit and Cody won by 45 seconds, that's still not a lot of time. Like in a hard enduro, I feel like 45 seconds isn't a big gap. 45 seconds at GNCC is a huge gap. 45 seconds at a hard enduro, a 3-lap main event at a hard enduro, doesn't seem like a lot. Um, but yeah, so Cody Webb, 6-time King of the Motos winner. Paul Alley, I Googled also and nothing. Maybe from the Atlantic to the Gulf, but Panama City makes sense. Yeah, like I said, I tried to Google it. Didn't really know what was going on with it. But looks like that's all the questions that we got. So thank you for joining in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of OTP. Trying to put some stuff out on Twitter. So if you follow On the Pipe podcast on Twitter, keep up to date there. I'm hoping that once the season, I keep saying once the season's here, everyone's racing. The season's here. All right. Just because I haven't been to a race yet doesn't mean that people aren't racing. So I guess the season is here. But the races that I will be at, I plan to kind of give updates throughout the event via Twitter. So GNCC when I'm out there filming. Oh, I saw it was Stu Strang and Johnny Gerard. And so maybe I'll tweet that. Hey, 6-mile marker, lap 2, Stu Strang, Johnny Gerard. Keep you updated. So that is how I intend to use X, formerly known as Twitter. So if you want to give us a follow there, it's going to be a learning experience too, because the more things I can think of or more ways I can find to utilize Twitter, the more things that we will be doing on there. I have never been a Twitter guy. Certainly have never been an X guy, but I find myself using it more and more here lately because it's like a real-time Google. Like, you powers out in your area, go on X and rest assured there will be some tweets about what the hell is going on with your power wherever you're at. It's crazy. I don't get it. You see a meme start popping up of some politician you never heard of. You're like, what's going on with these people? You go on Twitter, I guarantee it's going to be trending, and you're going to find out the backstory of that meme, why it's going around, and then several more versions of it. So it's really like an instant, like real time, what's going on right now, Google. So I have found myself using it more and more. And one thing I noticed is that the moto community is hot on Twitter. Like, everyone tweets. I didn't know that, but like they're always chirping back and forth at each other via tweets. So I don't know. Maybe we can get the off road community on Twitter as well. Like I said, I've never really been a Twitter user. Trying to pick it up. Follow us on there. Twitter, On the Pipe Podcast. Once again, be a friend, tell a friend if you like OTP. Let your friends know. Thank you for ordering some T-shirts. We're gonna have some more T-shirts coming out here, probably around springtime. So we're gonna keep it rolling, keep it fresh, and keep the stuff coming out. Thank you so much for your orders. Thank you so much for listening to On the Pipe Podcast. Looking forward to what is to come. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us to this point. Couldn't do it without you. And like I said, hopefully that everything we got coming down the pipeline, the On the Pipeline, will be cool. So thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for being here. And thank you all for watching and being fans of On the Pipe Podcast. We'll see you next week, unless we see you this week. Might try to put something together this week. See ya.